All right, let's see. This is always that awkward part that we stare at each other because we're not sure.
It's like,
Okay.
I really like your hair.
All right, it looks like we are live.
All right.
So guys, hi, I am
Hi.
here with Dr. Cobi. We're super excited to have you on today. Dr. Cobi is a doctor of natural medicine, as well as our token hormone expert, because let's be real, we all have hormones and they can get in the way sometimes.
Yeah.
And she works out of her local clinic in British Columbia, but has clients all across the world virtually. And Dr. Cobi is also not a one-time, but a 5-time international best-selling author. That is amazing. So, welcome. And if you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I am really excited about next weekend for our bestie getaway. So as you stated, I'm a doctor of natural medicine. So I actually have my PhD in the endocrine system, so in hormones, basically. I would say that came kind of organically. I started in practice about 15 years ago, and I just kind of started in general practice. And what I kept seeing is people coming in, and the underlying cause seemed to always link back to hormones.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I needed to learn more and understand more about the hormone pathways and how it all connected. So I ended up, I already had my doctorate, so I ended up enrolling into a PhD program for that exact topic. Wow. And I just kind of fell in love with all things hormones. And over the years, that has definitely grown. I would say that probably 75% of my practice is treating female hormone issues.
Okay.
And probably the majority of those patients are, like 35 to 55. Mm-hmm. So whether they're going through perimenopause or menopause, it's interesting because so many women don't even realize, the anxiety they have, or the mood swings they have, or the insomnia they have can actually be related to a hormone imbalance. Yeah. And can actually get balanced, and they don't have to struggle with that. And so I think that's the most exciting part of my job, is just connecting with women and helping them to overcome these issues that are totally getting in the way of them being the best mom, being, the best wife, etc. It just goes on and on.
Yeah. I mean, I only knew about hormones like, oh, you're just a hormonal teenager, or right. Oh, you're pregnant, so your hormones are just crazy. And it was almost like an excuse for everything when life is out of whack. And honestly, I still sometimes use it. I'm not going to lie. Every now and again, I'm like, it's just my hormones. Leave me alone. Yeah. But I think there's a lot to be said if you know where it's stemming from and what you can do so that you don't have those crazy hot mess moments.
Yeah, and one of the things that I see so much of now is that these hormone issues are becoming seemingly normal. Like, it is just, normal for a woman to really struggle through menopause, or it's so normal for a woman to really struggle with PMS. Yeah. Right? We kind of accept it, and in that acceptance, we're saying, like, I choose to live with these symptoms because I don't know that I don't have to live with these symptoms.
Right.
And so that normalization of things, it's a travesty, in my opinion, because these women, myself included, we don't have to struggle through that. When I was doing my PhD, one of the things that really stood out to me is that in other cultures, women that go through menopause, there literally there's nothing negative about it. There's no hot flashes, night sweats, all the symptoms. It's literally like the woman's period stops. It's a celebration. They have a party. Yeah. It's like now she's like a wisdom-filled elder of the village, and there is nothing negative. But in our culture, it's almost medicalized into like a condition, like, oh, she has menopause.
It's funny that you say that, because even pregnancy in itself is treated as a condition in culture, where it's not. It's part of our body. It's part of something that we do and we're capable of doing. So it's a special thing. It's not, we put those negative connotations on what our body goes through. We had a question from a live viewer from Tina. She says, I'm experiencing stomach weight, lack of energy. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, always when your body is presenting with a symptom, it's your body's way of communicating with you that, there's an underlying cause. So you always want to find the cause. In the case of abdominal weight gain and fatigue, that can kind of point towards a couple of hormones in particular. Okay. So in her case, I would recommend getting her thyroid properly evaluated and also her adrenal glands. So I'm going to talk more about that on the weekend, about how when you have an adrenal issue, it can cause weight gain on certain areas of the body, like the stomach.
This is going to sound terrible, but the only time I'd ever heard of like the adrenal gland was when I took my dog to the vet. It's like, I had no idea. And then all of a sudden I started hearing that word over and over again. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, that's something that we can look into for ourselves, because I think as moms or women, we are so tired and have lack of energy all the time. Like you said, it becomes just a way of life. Like I guess that's just the way it is, and there's nothing I can do about it, but there is. So.
It's amazing how many things we normalize in our lives. We just normalize the daily headache and normalize the need for the 3 p.m. third coffee to get us through, right?
What would you say are some of the most common issues that women face when it comes to hormones?
Well, conditions, I would say thyroid issues are one of the most underdiagnosed conditions for sure. It's a little bit different in the US and in Canada, but in Canada, we have very poor testing parameters for thyroid. US is a little bit better, but still like far from adequate. So it's actually estimated that like 35% of the population is wandering around with a undiagnosed low thyroid. And, that could explain relentless fatigue and weight gain and like depression. So often a patient is put on antidepressants because, the underlying thyroid condition is getting missed.
Wow, that's really interesting, because you do hear about depression almost like running rampant in our society, especially postpartum after we've had. Is there anything specific towards like pregnant women that, I know our hormones are kind of out of whack, and that's to be expected to some degree because you've just had a baby, but is there anything that we can do or look at to kind of lessen that or prepare for during our pregnancy to make it not such a huge shift?
Yeah, well, I think you kind of want to look at the situation and say, are the symptoms I'm feeling appropriate for what I've just gone through?
Okay.
Or we all have that sort of like inner voice, that gut feeling where it's like, this isn't normal, right? So if your doctor's telling you, well, of course you're tired, you have a newborn baby, or, you have 3 kids at home. I hear that all the time. And then they're not even getting tested for anything. So you really have to be your own advocate. And if you know that okay, I get it, I'm tired, I'm up with a newborn, but this feels different to me, I don't think that a person should just accept that, put it under the umbrella of like, oh, you have kids, you have a baby. That's just, and in regards to thyroid, one of the most common times that it goes out of balance is during a big hormonal swing. So commonly pregnancy, childbirth, and then perimenopause and menopause. That's the most common times that the thyroid does go out of balance.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I do think that we fall under the trap of just being satisfied with them not really answering.
Yeah.
Just those typical, oh, this life change happened, so run with it.
Tired, cranky mom.
Yeah.
Right? It's
I know. We get a bad rap.
It's not fair because, oftentimes when you do that, so many things get missed.
Yeah. So what's your favorite, you had mentioned a little bit, but what's your favorite part of doing what you do? Like what keeps you going every day to share this information, and especially at the Bestie Weekend? What were you driven to do that?
So I would say for sure, like I'll have a patient come in and they'll come for their first appointment, and it's like I always have to remind myself to like have a lot of endless grace, right? Because you have a patient come in and like they're not presenting their true selves because they're hormonally totally out of balance. So they might be like moody in their first appointment, and they could come off like abrasive or whatever. And so, we do their hormone testing, get them on track, and then they metamorphosize into themselves, right? And when I see that happen, it's so worth it, because I think of how when I first met them, how they were and how they presented themselves to how they are now. And that just makes me so happy that I could be a part of that journey, that now they're actually feeling how they truly are. Yeah. And then they can go forth in their world and be their true selves without the mood swings, feeling good about themselves, their libido's back, whatever it might be. But being a part of that change honestly never gets old.
That is awesome. And that epitomizes what we are trying to do at Bestie Weekend. So you are the perfect fit, because it's all about being you and not identifying yourself as just this cranky lady that, has too many kids, that, life is overwhelming and you're just like going within the motions every single day. So that, I love that. And the metamorphosizing into themselves, like, I'm going to steal that. That's awesome.
It's yours.
Aaron Barkley said, still 2 years after I've had my son, my hair is still thinning and falling out.
So Erin might need to get her hormones tested again. So it could be back to the thyroid. If she is under a lot of stress, and the hair goes through these 3 stages. So you're either keeping hair, growing hair, or losing hair. Okay. So if you're in one of those stages and you're in a high stress time in your life, then that stage can be prolonged. So you could be in the natural losing hair stage, which is normally about a month. But if you're in high stress, then that can be prolonged, and it can kind of go on for months, and then it can end up feeling like your hair is actually thinning. Okay. Another reason behind hair loss could also be iron levels. So if a woman has really heavy periods, then the iron can kind of dip down, and then one of the symptoms can be hair loss.
Interesting. Yeah, well, and again, stress, it's easy to say, oh, well, I'm just naturally stressed, I've got all these things going on. But if not the root cause of, because it could be a vicious cycle, right? If you're stressed, you end up getting out of whack, your body.
And that's one of the things that I'm definitely going to touch on next weekend, is why we should never put the word just in front of the word stress, right? Yes.
Exactly. So what other things can people, so Erin, are you signed up for the Bestie Weekend? Because I believe, Dr. Cobi, you're bringing some lab kits, correct?
I am bringing some lab kits. So I'm excited. I'm bringing some lab kits so we can test on site.
Ooh, that's so amazing.
Great, because, it's just a great opportunity to really find out what your story is, like, why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, and then actually be able to do something to get yourself back on track.
That is, I want to be tested. I'm going to be first in line.
All right.
I'm so excited that you're doing that. That's absolutely phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Bestie Weekend is October 6th and 7th. Dr. Cobi is going to be there all day on the 6th. Yeah. And we'll be speaking to you and sharing even more amazing information. So we just can't wait to see you there. I'm so excited.
I'm equally excited. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And also coming all the way from Canada. That's amazing.
It's correct. And I've never been to Vegas.
Yay, Vegas! That's going to be so fun. So thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to hop on here and answer some of these questions. My phone is a little slow today, so if there's other questions on there, we will get them answered.
Sounds great.
So thanks again. We'll see you guys later.
Okay. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.